For most of us in India, growth is a drug in a very, very positive sense. So many young girls come to me at airports and they're like, should I think about having kids? And I'm like, don't paralyze yourself with fear. Women have to think about careers and they have to freeze eggs. Do it, because these are realities. I think for most people, 12-14% is actually a great outcome in a mutual fund portfolio. A lot of the volatility is time volatility. Over 5 years or 7 years, the market is actually not that volatile. When you're 25, what's your primary asset? It's actually your time and talent, because you don't have capital.
Welcome to the Visionaries of India, powered to you by the Samsung Galaxy Book5 series. Imagine people telling you that you can't make it, and then you going on to become the youngest CEO of the mutual fund industry in India. I'm talking about Radhika Gupta of Edelweiss Mutual Fund. Now, she's redefining the way money conversations are being had in India, and she's democratizing finance in a huge way through her brand and her company. We find out her growth strategy. Tracking a mind like Radhika's isn't easy. She's always 10 steps ahead of everyone. With the Samsung Galaxy Book5 Pro 360's AI Select feature, I can easily find anything by just circling it, which makes my research easier and quicker. Additionally, with the multi-control feature, I can be just as quick, dropping notes straight into my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. That's how I keep up. Hello Radhika, how are you? After so long.
Welcome to our office again.
Yes.
Because this is not the first time you've
For
come.
the umpteenth time.
For the umpteenth time. It's actually still the same place. It's warm, happy, although the employee count keeps expanding.
Oh, that's a good problem to have.
It keeps, and the city count and the branch count and everything, and the AUM count also keeps expanding, but the office is still small and intimate so far.
So, it's so lovely, Radhika. Every time I meet you and I chat with you, I realize that your life and your business and your profile has grown and become bigger and better. But how has your journey been so far?
I think there's a net, there's a lot of gratitude, because I think for most of us in India, and we actually have a wall there that says growth. Growth is a drug in a very, very positive sense. I think in India, we have the ability today as women to shape our journeys professionally. I'm also the mother of a 3-year-old son. To do both of those things, and yet to also have personal fulfillment, write books, do Shark Tank, do all the 10 other things I do. And I didn't think that was possible. So I think there's tremendous gratitude that all of this is actually possible while getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It is actually possible.
90% of India doesn't feel that way. They are struggling, they are, trying to make ends meet, they are unable to save and invest at the same time. Do you think it's a mindset problem, or what really separates you from, say, 10 other women? Or men, for that matter.
Let me accept the privilege of being in the position and the resources, but let me also acknowledge that the privilege is earned, because like many Indians, I think there are two parts. One is the professional part and one is the non-professional part. I see a lot of professionals struggling with how many hours to work, work-life balance, getting upset about working 60, 70 hours a week. And I really think the solution to that is finding purpose in your work. If you enjoy the work that you do not count the nights and the weekend. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you are an entrepreneur, an employee. I think building a healthy financial journey comes from one thing, and that is discipline and learning how to occupy the middle path. I'm not saying you don't spend money. I would never say that. I spend money setting up rules that I will save this much of my post-tax salary every month. With every increment I get, since you talked about growth, I will increase the amount of savings I will do. I will not live beyond my means. I think it's just habits. So purpose in your work and habits in your money, I think really differentiate people who are more sorted in their life.
Okay, I want to talk a lot more about that, but I think...
Yeah, we should walk.
Yes, we should walk.
Otherwise,
your office.
Let's go.
Where are we going?
So we are walking the floor, and I like that this is one round floor and a lot of corridor conversations happen on this floor. This is head of HR's cabin.
Okay, nice.
This is me. it's like full of stuff and it's a bit of a mess. And a lot of
Just like it has like so many tabs open, just like your mind. And any woman's mind, right? All tabs are open all the time.
all the stuff is gifted. So you'll see there's a Ram Mandir there and there's that Shankh art from Calcutta and all this stuff and this stuff from Odisha. Of course, there are some awards and some of the memorable ones. There's like random stuff from different parts of the country.
Oh, I love that picture.
Yeah.
Was that when he was just newborn?
Yeah, he just left the hospital there.
Oh, wow.
That was when we were leaving the hospital. So he's 3 days old in that picture.
How has parenting been for you? I mean, you've been like 4 years into the journey.
3 years. It's been fun. I think outside the fourth trimester, which was month 1 and 2 and 3.
Which was chaotic.
Just hellish and chaotic because of my own mind. I think after that, honestly, it's been a joy. I mean, every single day of it has been a joy, a learning. I feel I've changed a lot as a person. My sense of priorities is a lot sharper. And it's all been doable. So many young girls come to me at airports and they're like, should I think about having kids? And I'm like, don't paralyze yourself with fear, If women have to think about careers and they have to freeze eggs, do it. Because these are realities, right? These are health realities and they're not taboo subjects.
Absolutely.
To talk about. So I just feel the conversation around fertility anyway is not in the... A lot of people are choosing not to have kids willingly, which is, of course, their own choice. But I think it should be a choice. It shouldn't be taken out of fear.
Absolutely. Okay,
come,
so this is our office. Where are we going next? Okay, so before we move forward, I would like to give a little bit of a challenge to your leadership team.
Okay. What are you going to challenge them on? Or is it a surprise?
It's a surprise.
That's a surprise.
Welcome to the Productivity Playbook, powered by the Samsung Galaxy Book5 series. True leadership reveals itself in very tough situations. So I've created challenges and leaders from the Edelweiss Mutual Fund team will take them on using the Samsung Galaxy Book5 Pro 360 AI Select feature and the Microsoft AI-powered Copilot Plus PCs. So thank you guys for joining me. I'll quickly share them on the Samsung Notes. So let's get to the problem statement. What is the biggest leadership challenge that you see in aligning the team's ideas with a shared vision? And how do you approach resolving it in your role? For example, how have you handled situations where there are differing viewpoints and that differing viewpoint threatens to slow down progress or create confusion? So where are we headed next?
So this is a milestone wall. It's actually one of the coolest walls.
Okay.
Because from, I guess, the inception of AMC, we have just various memorable milestones that the AMC has seen through. And it's a dynamic wall, right? It's not a static wall. So you can keep adding stuff. So for instance, this year we just launched our Gift City office, which is right there. And we just got approval for our the SIF brand, which is Altiva. So that's there.
Wow.
Then you have, some milestones like 1.5 lakh crore, which also happened.
This is our 50 crore monthly SIP book.
Yeah, that's also
nice.
My
God, that's a lot.
Yeah, given that when in 2017, this number was like 2 crores. And building an SIP book is hellish hard work.
Really?
And it just takes time. And we have had a very frugal mindset since we've built. And I am a big believer of frugality. I think there's all this startup romance that says, let's work in a WeWork and have really fancy offices and all of that. We've actually grown the frugal way. So for us, even this much space was an upgrade. And I think just growing at a calibrated pace, make sure we never have to, in a downturn, let go of any colleague. That's very important too.
Is that something that is a recipe for success? Because as long as you keep your, demands in check, then how much...
It's not extreme. It's very middle path, both in the office and at home. So it's not that we're not investing. I mean, again, in office, we went from 5 locations to 20 to 55. We're going to go to 100. But it's going to happen in a calibrated way. It's not that I am not growing my lifestyle. I bought a house, I buy jewelry, we do XYZ for my son. So it's not that we're not spending or investing. All of that is happening, but it's in a calibrated way. And I think that's very important because then it's sustainable. Because the problem is both at office and home, if you bite off much more than you can chew, and there is a downturn, and I'm a bit of a child of 2008, clawing back is very, very difficult. So I think just having that middle path and balance, both in home and office, is very, very important. So we're investing, we're adding people. We've grown from 30 people to 400 people. But we're doing it at a calibrated pace. We set up the Gift City office, but at a pace that we can chew and digest.
So for a young investor, and a lot of our audiences are really young, right? They haven't seen a big bear market. They haven't seen 2008. Some of them have not even seen 2020 for that matter. Most of them came in post that. What is your 2-step, 3-step advice in terms of, how one should build a portfolio in a systematic way, but also be ready for occasions or issues like, say what we saw in 2020?
So I have 3-4 tips for them. One is start with a post-tax savings target. And I talk about this in Mango Millionaire. And young investors keep telling me, it's not possible, it's not possible. YOLO, I have to go to the concert. And I'm like, dude, save 5 to 10% of your post-tax savings. We have this 10, 30, 50 rule. 10% in your 20s, 30% in your 30s, 50% in your 40s when you have the habit. But even if you can't do 10, do the 5. Start the habit, and not because I run a mutual fund, try and do it through SIPs or RDs because it automates the habit. Like everybody pays tax because tax is deducted at source. So my favorite word is savings deducted at source. The second is prevent the things that hold you back. Get insurance and protection early, health, life, etc. And keep your debt in check. So these are the things that take away from your investment journey. And a lot of young investors, as I said, are struggling with leverage, are struggling with debt.
Correct.
So get that in check. And third is get a basic portfolio that has equity, gold and fixed income in place. I mean, it really needs to have nothing else. This is the basic thali that anybody needs. How much allocation? I think you'll play and decide. But that's all young investors need to do. By the way, this is our people wall. So we spotlight victories of people's. So it's values that we actually care about. So we spotlight all of them here.
Nice.
And we've been very fortunate that we've had a lot of people stability over the last 7 years. So we've not had any turnover in leadership at all.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just culture. I mean, honestly, people talk about money and perks these days. Those are hygiene factors. I think it's culture. You give people growth.
Correct.
You give people
Flexibility.
empowerment, actually, not micromanaging. Like, nobody micromanages.
Correct.
And you give people a place that is not political because that drags people down.
Correct.
I think if you do that, and of course pay them fairly in the long term, people will stay. We have a crew of people who leave and then come back.
Really?
A very large crew. And we have a wait list of that. That's the growth wall.
The growth wall, okay.
We've moved offices multiple times, but the wall has not moved. So, I mean, you ask now, what makes people stay? We've had so many people who joined from individual branches and are taking on national roles. So I don't even believe that you have to be in Mumbai here to play a major role in the AMC.
In today's day and age of AI, there's so much going around about how AI can do all the fund management for you. You don't need fund managers. How do you feel about that?
So I think that if we imagine an industry without tech or AI, it's like imagining life today without the internet. But I think, will AI take away someone's sense of judgment? The experience that a Tradeep has to meet a management and be able to say, "Jhoot bol raha hai, ya sach bol raha hai," that resilience to stay with the stock through a cycle, that I don't think it will have. But if it doesn't use AI, and we're actually having many experiments in the investment team, particularly on the research side. So we're looking at tools, and we have a roadmap for the next 2-3 years. But can you take away that judgment? I don't think so.
Okay. So you're saying that AI will stay, but it will not replace people in this industry.
It says AI plus me better than me.
Okay.
Rather than is AI greater than me. Because I think there is a judgment that comes from just studying banks over 20 years. And finally, fund management is as much behavioral as it is. It's the same argument I have with AI and leadership. If you have an employee who's going through a really bad period, is he going to ask ChatGPT to motivate them?
Yeah.
If you have a team that's dysfunctional, are you going to ask ChatGPT to solve that problem? So I don't think empathy or creativity goes away.
Okay, so now we'll head to your boardroom where we're going to talk about the productivity playbook.
Okay, let's go.
So there's a problem statement that we've given, some of the top members of your team.
Okay.
And these are the answers that they've given.
I'm very curious because the answers may vary department-wise. Let's see.
So this is from the business development team.
Now, the problem of execution arises in anything that you would do, which is different from what you were doing, whether you want to introduce a new product, add capacity, and you also have to assume that there will be failures, there will be some challenges that you would meet. So it's important to focus on execution rather than really wasting too much of time in an analysis so that it becomes analysis paralysis.
Sometimes, the biggest opportunities are not the ones that you've already worked on. There could be a new MFD in Noida that's growing really fast. And for that, you need to be more data oriented. I know Deepak, who gave this statement, is a very data oriented guy. And it's one of the things I really like about him. So it's an interesting one.
In this, right, there is anchoring discussions in line with customers' reality.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is so important because we tend to jargonize
Everything, yeah.
Tend to put everything in presentations, but it boils down to what does the customer really want?
The understanding the customer's world and bringing in solutions at various touch points that solve for the customer's needs are very important. They may not align with the team's, requirement to have certain deliverables at the organization level, but understanding what the customer really wants and what drives them is important.
And it's, it's in the small things. So even when you send, and I know this has come from our CEO, but even when you send a transaction slip saying your SIP installment has bounced, you send it with so much jargon that the person doesn't know what to do with it.
Correct.
So it's de-jargonizing not just the presentations and the investment content, but the smallest thing that they have.
Okay, the next one is from HR.
The answer to alignment somewhere lies in the kind of culture any company has. At Edelweiss Mutual Fund, conversations are the core of our culture. Now, conversations has multiple aspects to it. One is what viewpoints are shared on the table, how actively do you listen to those viewpoints, and then accordingly you decide on what decisions to take.
It's not a battle of individuals, it's a battle of ideas. And debate is good. In fact, I think as we grow, we had this conversation about 2 years ago. Are we losing this culture of debate? So I think it is
agreeing to disagree.
Yeah, and just healthy debate. We now do a lot of multifunctional reviews. So, I do department reviews, but you'll frequently see in a sales review, someone from product will be sitting in, or in an investment review, someone from product will be sitting in, or in a tech review, someone from digital will be sitting in. So I think less ownership, but not complete domination of an area is also very, very helpful because that builds some kind of culture of debate. That's very important. And finally, the idea is king, not the individual.
Okay, so now we're going to invite your leadership team.
Okay.
And we're going to try and click a nice picture with them. So this was the productivity playbook powered by the Samsung Galaxy Book5 series.
So now we have this wall, which is an interactive wall. Of course, we are a business present in various parts, all parts of the country, I would say. And the idea is to use this to build connections. So, if you're from the branch office of Gujarat and you had an interesting interaction with someone from Manipur, you can't just tie the thread.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've tied a lot of these threads because I've traveled so much.
Wow. So for someone who is, a brand new investor and wants to start off, right? We have something here.
Well, that's the foldable phone. Nice.
We have the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. It's a really cool looking phone, by the way.
It's very cool.
And this is the Edelweiss MF website.
Oh, there you go. You've got one of my favorite pages there. So yes, new investors can look at the website for investing, but I also think they should look at the website for a lot of content. And we do summaries of financial books and people love them because nobody wants to read itna mota kitab. So under the book summary, they do that. And what's the minimum a small cap fund can do? It could be down as much as 30%. So that's awareness to the consumer.
So the small cap fund is given you of almost 40% maximum return in the 5 years.
5 years, yeah. A lot of the volatility is time volatility. Over 5 years or 7 years, the market is actually not that volatile.
Yeah.
A lot of the volatility is in your time horizon. So we spend a lot of time on those customer analytics pages. On each fund, there is a know your fund that talks about the investment strategy and the style of the fund. So we have a product team that puts a lot of effort into this. Plus there's research content. There are properties like Tempo that give you a sense of markets. There's a property called Curve, which is dedicated to fixed income. So there's a lot of content.
Okay, so now that we've seen your entire office, let's go and sit down and have a cup of coffee.
Let's sit.
And continue the conversation.
Come.
Okay, so finally we are here sitting down and having a cup of coffee together.
Correct.
A lot of people preach to people about how to investors, about what to do. But a lot of people don't tell them what not to do and how to avoid losses.
Yeah.
So the 2 or 3 things that you'd want to tell people on how to avoid losses in your portfolio.
So one that people don't say openly enough is don't buy unregulated stuff. This sounds like very common sense, right? We're all suspicious कि airport पे जाते हैं तो authorized चीज लेते हैं. I've seen people fall prey to greed with so many unregulated things that it
Like
is
what?
crazy. All from your chit fund down to some of your gaming things to some of these bond platforms, and I'm sure they're very good regulated ones, but there are lots of unregulated ones. In my view, even Bitcoin in India is not regulated. So I think just, control the greed to do unregulated stuff. That would be nice. The second is liquidity is very important in portfolios, and locking your money up unnecessarily is a problem. And I'll tell you why people lose money. They put too much money, especially HNIs, into highly locked in things. And then when they need money, they end up redeeming equities at a bad time. I've also made these mistakes. I really think the only case for that is things like startups or some private credit, things like that. So you have to be very thoughtful. And the third is don't invest in things in a rush. There's a lot of FOMO that's happening. And I don't believe any asset class is worth buying in a rush because you don't understand it. Like SIFs are coming out. I mean, I have an SIF, I'm going to be marketing it. And I have investors coming to me and saying, मुझे कुछ mutual fund भी पूरा नहीं समझ आता, should I do SIF? I'm like, no, don't. Wait, it's okay. The time will come. So doing things at a pace that you can absorb and digest, I think is very, very important.
So what's your view on direct stocks?
I don't think you're going to generate more than 12-14% in a mutual fund portfolio. I mean, we looked at the rolling return of mid-cap, that's 18%, and that's mid-cap, right? But I think for most people, 12-14% is actually a great outcome if they do it with discipline, So you actually don't know what people have earned. And genuinely, if a portfolio can compound at 12%, you have done an exceptional job because inflation is 5%. 7% plus inflation is outstanding.
Problem also with direct stock picking, and why I don't encourage it to a lot of people who reach out or retail investors, is that you can either do that as a full-time job,
and it is a full-time job.
It's a full-time job, or else you do your job and earn more money and invest more.
And which is my argument to young people, and I wrote this in Limitless too, that when you're 25, what's your primary asset? If we talk about return on asset, it's actually your time and talent because you don't have capital.
Correct.
Capital you have when you're 55. Then maybe stock picking can be your full-time job because, when you're 60. But at 2025, your time, your talent, it's your time to max that out, to upskill, to collect those experiences.
To create multiple streams of income.
So I think stock picking takes a lot of time. I mean, I'll tell you, Sonia, we have an investment team of 25-30 people. And sometimes even that falls short to cover a universe of 1,000 companies.
So we were talking about, avoiding losses, right? You gave us a few things to watch out for. But for someone who wants to, say, build a portfolio, but at the same time manage life, right? Life with its cost of living and with putting your child through school and buying a house. Now it's become unimaginable in a metro. What's your thought about that, and how do you think young people should navigate?
So I think home buying is a very emotional decision. I don't think it's a mandatory thing. I actually think a home is not even an investment. I just think it's an emotional call, right? Because the mathematics of a home in any city in India never stacks up, right? Because the rental yield is 2-3%. So why would you buy a home? But I bought a home and I know my spreadsheets because it's an emotional call. I think in the early days in your 20s, home buying can be a big capital drain. So if you were to ask me, I think one should wait and accumulate capital for some time, put that money into SIPs, into equities, so that at least you can pay 30-40% down on a home. And if one buys a home, one should make sure that the EMI is never a source of mental duress, because I've seen a lot of people. There's that joke na कि Mumbai में तो जिंदगी EMI देते देते ही गुजर जाती है, and it shouldn't be that source of mental duress. So the EMI should be an amount that you can service. I also think there are people who think a home loan is a terrible thing. That also I don't agree. I think a home loan is one of the few forms of debt that is good debt.
Before the age of 40, you shouldn't even think of buying a house.
Yeah, you
should just be busy with, building your other assets.
If you get lucky, then maybe 35, but not below that. I mean, I enjoy interiors. I enjoy building something that is customized to my needs, and I'm reasonably certain that I'm not going to move from Mumbai. So I think you should also buy a home once your mobility issues are sorted out. I think you should have a target for your liquid portfolio. Like I keep my illiquid and liquid portfolio totally different.
Okay.
So I have a equity portfolio, equity debt, MF, etc. I have a angel investing and VC portfolio, which is totally illiquid. I have home ownership, and I have ESOPs, which are also illiquid. So these last three buckets are completely illiquid, and I think of them very differently.
So how many mutual funds should one have in their portfolio?
Not 100 and not 50 and not 30. Honestly, 8 to 12.
Isn't that a lot?
Maximum.
Okay.
3-4 categories. So maybe 2 equity categories, 1 hybrid category or 1 gold category, and 1 debt category.
Okay, so this show is called Visionaries of India. So I want to understand, what is Radhika Gupta's vision for herself and for India? You are, you're someone who I can see that, that image of a lady having those multiple hands, managing, being an author, being an AMC head, being a mother. What next?
We are very fortunate in the MF and in the retail business that our work shapes the life of ordinary Indians. So personally, I've always been driven by impact. Less money, more impact. And I think this profession allows you to make tremendous impact. I mean, finally, it comes down to a collection of people's aspirations that we manage. So
People's life goals.
People's life goals, people's aspirations. But finally, we manage money for ordinary Indians, right? So I think it's a position of tremendous privilege and tremendous opportunity to make impact. I know not all AMC heads are fans of doing a lot of content work, but I think outreach is a very important part of what we do. I think it also builds more investors. In just reading the reviews of Mango Millionaire, because I get 2 a day these days, I've learned so much about how people want to converse on finance. So one common comment I've gotten is, please explain finance to me so I can read it without a cup of black coffee or a PhD. And people want to have those conversations. Please nudge me to do the right things. Don't scare me. And so each of these is, both the books have been a tremendous learning opportunity.
Absolutely. I am so grateful that through my journey, I got a chance to, learn from the best and invest at the right time, because otherwise there's just no access, right?
Yeah, and I think we're not even taught, like even in this one, even though I'm a mutual fund head, mutual fund is chapter 13, because the first thing you do when you think about money is not mutual funds.
Yeah.
It's actually your attitude towards money, your desires from money, some of the conversations.
Trauma around money.
Your trauma around money, your habits around saving, credit cards and debt, taking insurance. Mutual funds comes much later. So I think money is a much more encompassing universe.
Yeah. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation. But Radhika, thank you so much for joining us. And, I hope you continue to grow. I hope you continue to thrive. And I hope the next time I'm here, your AUM book is much larger than what it is today.
Thank you.